always do it before it unmutes me, so I never get the clack on camera, but there we go. That's a little bit better. But anyway, hola, 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 y bienvenidos a The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm Logan, my face is something gay, and I am drinking tea. Lovely, wonderful. Lana's not here to criticize the fact that I'm not drinking sweet tea, thankfully. But it is a lovely, wonderful ginger peach tea today. And I decided I wanted to be as artistic as possible given the runway theme, which, if you know anything about me, I love the runway this week. So I've got this caftan on because it's colorful and there's a print. I've got my Le Grand Dame fan because it's colorful and artistic. But most importantly, I am wearing a hat that I got at the Van Gogh experience in Vegas that has now technically become merch because I may or may not have gotten it signed by Miss Delta Werk last night when I went to go see Very Delta live.
I'm jealous.
Easily one of the best drag shows I've ever seen. And it was dumb. And I loved every moment of it.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro, but I do have a cute shirt. I am wearing my Jinx Monsoon shirt. Yes, love me some Jinx. And I am just drinking some water. And I'm not drinking it out of my cup mug.
Cut back! You could get yours at lanagcreations.etsy.com. Link is in the description below, and we do ship domestically within the United States and internationally, so there are no excuses. Unless your country is currently on fire, under siege, or you're currently in the middle of a hurricane, then there are some excuses.
Yes, God damn it hasn't stopped raining. It has not stopped raining. It's wild. Anyways, hola, I am Eduardo, the Mexican representative of this podcast. I'm here to talk shit and get hit. I'm drinking water today. I finished all of my other drinks that I had because, I had 4, like a crazy person. But I finished all of them and now I only have water. Yay.
Period. Well, I said it. I said it last week. I said it during the cast assessment. Drag Race España is back, bitches. I'm so happy. Yeah. I'm so happy. This episode was so good. It was every single thing I needed in an episode.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, not only did we get a talent show with a lot of cool and a lot of different talents that I haven't quite seen. Plus, we had a really killer runway, so can't be mad.
Easily one of the best runways of the year so far.
For sure.
Easily.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Easily one of the best runways of the year.
We will get to it and look over here, but my lowest score is like a 78. That's
probably about where mine is going to be. Yeah, I
think 82 is my lowest.
It's probably going to be somewhere around there for me too.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to talk about it. Before we do, though, make sure to subscribe if you've not already, because we're here almost all the time giving you almost all things drag. And make sure to check out the description below where you can find all of our audio podcast links, our other YouTube channels, and our Patreon for exclusive content and early access. So, we start this episode. Shawnee is gone.
R.I.P.
And I feel really bad for the Spanish people, because thank you to those of you in our comment section. We appreciate it. Let us know that Shawnee was like the fan favorite going into this season.
Yeah.
Which sucks for all of the people that were super excited to see her. And me too. And us too, because I was sad to see her go.
Yeah.
We were. And it really sucks for La Niña del Antro because she was more upset than anybody, for sure. She lost her one friend.
Yeah, she's going through it. She's struggling real bad after Shawnee left.
Yeah. I hope we get to see her bounce back a little bit. I mean, she's, involved in a little bit of drama this episode. So we'll see, how things go with that. But yeah, we come into the workroom the next day. half of them do a lovely, wonderful tribute to Shawnee, and the other half are the Witches' Coven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love that.
The cast has
Who all was it?
separated
It
themselves.
was Porca, it was Cristo, it was Kelly, Angelita, and there's one other one I don't remember.
I know the other group was Mariana.
Vampy?
Maybe. The other group, no. Vampy's with the other group. The pretty group is Mariana, Chloe, Vampy, La Nina, and a fifth person, and I didn't catch who it was.
Dita.
Great.
Was it Dita?
Yeah, because Le Coco is with the witches.
Okay.
Le Coco, that's what it is. Yes,
and Maggie is with neither group. Maggie is there.
Maggie just walks into the workroom.
She's Switzerland.
She's anything but Switzerland, David.
I don't know about that.
Anything but Switzerland in this episode, but we'll talk about it. So they come in. We get a mini challenge, a cute, lovely, wonderful mini challenge, inspired by our guest judge, Manuela, fabulous woman.
Icon.
Fabulous woman. Mm-hmm. Obsessed with her. I had no clue who she was before this episode, and I am obsessed with her now. I love her.
I was about to ask if either of you knew who she was.
I had heard of her before. I don't know her particularly well, but I had heard her story before. I have seen TikToks of her before, and I knew who she was. And I also knew her. If you've seen our Eurovision podcast, which you should check out, she's the one that came up with the tira la copa phrase that was used by someone in Spain in Eurovision. And I had heard that phrase before, and I knew that she was the one that originated it, but I didn't know a lot about her.
She is a painter and politician.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I knew that she was a politician.
And queer icon.
Yes.
With a very, if you couldn't tell, with a very clear surrealist influence, and I am not surprised by that in the slightest.
She kind of gave me a older version of Pandora Knox with her style.
I mean, her eye, the way that she does her eyes is kind of similar to the way that Pandora does
I wouldn't be surprised if Pandora was inspired by Manuela Torsoveres. I would hope so. That'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are both very surrealist in the way that they do their makeup. But for the mini challenge, we are attempting to recreate Manuela's signature eye makeup. Some better than others. Some horrible.
Some just painted an eye on their face.
I like
that just painted an eye on their face.
Who was that? I don't know, but that was actually one of my favorites. Was that Kelly?
It wouldn't surprise me if it was.
Yeah, I like that none of them went for a straight copycat. They did their own version of weird eye makeup. So I kind of thought it was fun to see the different styles that was going on here.
A lot of people went more surrealist than they did, trying to copy Manuela. And I do like that. My three standouts in this were Chloe. I thought Chloe doing several eyes, I liked that interpretation of it. I liked La Nina. I thought it was just very, very different from everyone else. I liked that she went with this black, almost crying, mascara running kind of look. I really liked that. And I liked Mariana's too. It was just simple, but it was really good.
Mm-hmm. And Angelita also did a bunch of eyes too.
Yeah, I like that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then to decide the winner, I don't know this reference, so please let us know in the comments what this reference is to, because it was fun.
It's Tira la Copa.
Is it Tira la Copa? Oh.
That's the reference. She's tirando la copa. Tirando la copa. She's throwing the cup.
The cup.
Oh, well, she's perfect for us.
Yes, absolutely.
We are the cup. Let's throw
us.
Throw
Manuela to us. Me. I would be okay with
Manuela could throw me, absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. But she throws the cup at La Nina! Yay!
And she does it violently.
was like, Jesus Christ. Okay, work, diva. But yes, La Nina wins the mini challenge and wins an entire case of NYX makeup worth over €1,000.
Wild.
That is available for her to use right now.
Wild.
And we had to get La Coco doing her shady comment. I'm hoping that you're starting to like her shade a little bit more.
I was about to say, this episode made me really start to like Le Coco. Because I think in episode 1, they just put all of her shady moments back to back to back to back. And so it felt like it was like fake. But now that there's like more happening in between, it feels more like fun shade. And so I think they did her a disservice in the first episode. Because this episode, I really liked her.
Good. Me too. Yeah. She shaded La Nina and was like, good. She could use the makeup.
Yeah. It was like, I really, like, I liked Le Coco in the first episode. I'm really liking Le Coco now. And we're like, her shade is really, really funny. There's someone else whose shade I'm just finding to be rude. And it's someone that I know someone here really likes. I'm not necessarily specifically going to talk about it right now. But we find out that the Maxi Challenge is the Supremme Eleganza Talent Extravaganza again. Of course. It is tradition now.
Yes.
Low-key wish it was the first episode, but I'll take it. And everyone's getting ready, and there is immediate drama.
Yes.
Completely unprompted. What I do remember is that for España, at least for previous seasons, they don't sequester the queens in hotel rooms. They all stay in one house together, which is why we've gotten some of these weird dynamics over the years, like people just fully hooking up in the middle of seasons. It has happened on more than one occasion. So something must have gone down between Mariana and Maggie. And we get confessionals throughout the first part of the episode where they're both just like, I just don't understand the other person.
Yeah.
And it kind of comes to a head when they're doing their makeup. They start bickering a little bit about Mariana feels that Maggie is, too traditionally, stereotypically gay, like very machismo. Steroid use is implied. I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know if any of that is involved. Based on the way she looks and the way she looks alone, I would doubt it personally because I have seen very steroided people and they don't really look like Maggie. But it could be, I don't know. And Maggie is like, no, why can't I just fit in? Like, I am this way, but I am also the loudest, craziest bitch in the room, and I am an equal to you. Here, I am an equal to you in the drag community, so why can't I be treated as such? And we also get this kind of sidebar situation from La Nina, who's literally between them while they're fighting, talking about how gays that traditionally look like Maggie tend to be very, very dismissive of gays and other queer people who are more effeminate and who aren't, the traditional, I hate using that word, but the standard big, beefy muscle gay.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I understood both sides of their situation. Honestly, I did.
Yeah, I think the way that it was approached wasn't particularly well done because I think it was a conversation that needs to be had, but it was between two people that don't like each other. Like, it's very clear that Maggie and Mariana just don't get each other and are just not each other's cup of tea, which is absolutely fine. I just think the way that it was gone about it was not particularly respectful on either side because it felt very dismissive from both sides. Like, it felt very like Mariana was like, I'm not going to apologize for anything that I'm saying and for like hurting your feelings. And Maggie felt very much like, well, what you're saying is wrong because you are dismissing me, and so I will dismiss you. And it felt very odd from my point of view personally. And like, I get that there's a lot to critique about Maggie and Maggie's way of acting. I do agree with Mariana that sometimes it does feel like maybe Maggie wants to be on the spotlight, but like, that's drag. Most drag queens want to be on the spotlight, and that's absolutely normal. All of us like attention. That's why we are on the internet. That's why we dress up. That's why we put makeup on. A lot of us really like attention. And so I get it. It was, and I get both sides. I think the way that La Nina went about it was the best way to go about it. And so I agreed more with what La Nina had to say because I've more experienced what La Nina was saying. But it felt very odd and very uncomfortable because it was just not a good way to have this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I could see where everybody is coming from. And I would like to make it clear, like my first two draft picks were La Nina and Mariana. They are two people I absolutely love. Based on what we were presented on the show, I definitely felt like they were in the wrong because we did not get like a catalyst. We didn't really get anything from Maggie that said, I'm better than you. I'm like the people that have hurt you in the past. It felt like a lot of projecting onto Maggie based on issues they've had with people who look like Maggie in the past. And that's just not fair at all. And I think Maggie made a very good point when she said, you all are doing to me what you're saying people have done to you, people who cast you out based on how you look, how you act. You're doing that to me, and that's not fair. And I absolutely agreed with Maggie. So I was a little disappointed, especially in Mariana, whom I love. I adore her. But based on what we were presented on the show, I definitely thought she was in the wrong. And I would have liked if she had humbled herself to apologize because it just made me uncomfortable. Like, maybe Maggie did something to set them off, but we didn't see it. So that's my perspective.
Yeah, and like I definitely agree with you. I'm going to be honest as well, just based on Maggie's reactions. I don't think Maggie looked great coming out of this either. What she's saying is 100% valid, though. What they are doing to her is what other people have done to them. And so it is kind of, unfortunately, this cyclical kind of situation that shouldn't be happening to anyone, quite honestly. But I do understand where Mariana is coming from. I'm curious what the catalyst was, if anything. I'm curious if it's just they didn't get along, their personalities aren't meshing, and being in the pressure cooker that is Drag Race. I'm curious if that is why Mariana acted the way she did. I don't know. The edit of this was also very strange.
Yeah.
Like the way that they framed this and the way that they filmed it even felt weird, to the point where I'm like, I don't know if I can say that anyone is in the right or in the wrong necessarily. I do agree with you, Eduardo. I think La Nina discussed things probably the best out of anyone, saying you just need to understand we have a preconceived notion, and I can agree with this 100% because I also tend to have a preconceived notion when it comes to gays that look like Maggie.
Me too.
There
I think
is
all of
this
us
it's very I'm going to think this way about you because of I'm going to think maybe slightly negatively about you until I can see that you are not the way that other people are. And I don't think Mariana or La Nina have seen Maggie not be that way. And so I understand there's a bit of a defensiveness there. There's a lot of caution there. So I understand their perspective. I do wish Mariana had apologized at least for the comments that she made. I understand her doubling down though, because there is still that defensive wall up, because she's not feeling like Maggie is understanding or listening to what she's saying, and Maggie feels the exact same way. And so that's why we ended up with this like girl fuck you kind of ending to this squabble. So I understand all of the sides of this. I wish it had turned out better because I do like all three people involved.
Me
in
too.
This, honestly.
Me too. And I think that it is normal and probably good to be guarded with a specific type of people that have hurt you in the past. If it happens consistently, it's very good to be guarded. That's a normal self-defense mechanism. What I don't think that we should do is just automatically, you can be guarded without being like guilty until proven innocent. And it felt a little guilty until proven innocent for me. But I'm going to try to give them all the benefit of the doubt. There might have been other things we've seen or we didn't see, and hopefully they can find a way to move forward and get to know each other better, because like, what better opportunity than right now? Your sisters, why not drop preconceived notions and everybody just learn to accept each other and grow with each other? So it's my opinion.
Yeah.
Or keep fighting because it's interesting TV. We also get kind of this big kind of round table moment where someone is asking Le Coco about her runway from last week. And this is where I think, coming out of this second episode, I think Le Coco is maybe my favorite person on this cast. She is a smart bitch because she said, oh, I'm going to talk about how I just don't have a good relationship with my father and that we aren't close and that, you know, he did some things to hurt me and all of that. But I'm not going to tell you the story behind it. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. She's smart. She knows that if she reveals everything too early, she's at more of a risk of getting kicked off the show. Period. I love seeing someone game this show.
Yeah.
And I love what Le Coco's doing. I love it.
Yeah, and then we get a moment from that with Porca, I believe, where she talks about how her dad passed away because of cancer, and it was just a whole moment about how she just didn't have the greatest relationship with him. Like, she used to have a good relationship with him, but then something happened where the dad just kept like trying to make her one way, and she clearly wasn't that way, and it was a tough conversation to be had, especially for some of us who have like tough relationships with our parents, especially with our fathers.
Hi.
Because
Hello.
Because I feel kind of similarly about my own family, because there's been a lot happening, and like it's very kind of similar. Not my father hasn't died, but it's still like something similar. So I felt it very, very near and dear. So it was a lot. Damn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
I would also like to. Oh, I was going to say Rocket is here because he is also an ally of the Spanish people, in addition to being an ally of the Mexican people.
Absolutely.
So, yes, Rocket, do you have anything to add? Okay, got it. Yeah, nothing. He watched the episode, though.
Great. Wonderful.
Sorry, David, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's tough, like, just knowing that they never really got closure, like, knowing that Porca's dad died when she was 16, and they never really came to see eye to eye on the subject. But there were a couple other conversations that I wanted to quickly touch on. So we had a conversation between Kelly and Angelita, and they were talking about Manuela, and Kelly actually has her photo up there on the mirror on her altar.
I loved it,
as she calls it. So that was really cool, just knowing like that she has so much respect and admiration from her. And we got a confessional from Angelita where she was talking about how she just has so much respect and appreciation for feminine and trans individuals who really worked to pave the ground that they have right now so they can all be accepted a little bit more. So I thought that was a very touching tribute from Angelita.
I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. And based on some things that have happened on social media, I'm very happy that this segment was part of this episode.
Me too.
Absolutely. Yeah,
me too.
I'm very happy.
So, I want to jump back to the Porca segment for a second, because as someone who has never met their biological father and has little to no relationship with my mother and no relationship with my stepdad, I understand Porca very well. and I have never had any closure with any of those things. So it's very, very relatable. And again, it's these kinds of queer stories that I am happy that we are continuing to see, because they're important and because there are so many people who can absolutely relate with the stories that they're sharing on Drag Race internationally. But yes, and then on a lighter note, we realized that Nina and Cristo are basically doing the same act but in different ways.
Yes.
And I was like, ooh.
Same song, similar talents, their own spin on it.
Wildly different, ultimately.
Oh, wildly,
wildly different, ultimately.
Yeah, when they talked about it, I expected more similarities between the two. It was very different, but
yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like you can't change it. What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, I probably won't know this song, but I did. I did because of somebody else.
Good. Well, in that case, we shall just go to the runway. Manuela looks so good.
I also love that they put her in the middle.
As they should.
As they should. Yes, absolutely.
As they should. But lest I not acknowledge, Supremme looks incredible.
It's a big step up.
Wow. Yeah, big step up.
They clearly said, oh, we kind of messed up a little bit after All Stars in season 3, huh? We need to tighten up the ship a little bit. We got to tighten the corset a little bit on Drag Race España. And they're serving. Anna looks gorgeous here. Also, I do love that they are continuing the Spanish version of What You Packin' on WoW Presents Plus with Anna Locking. So she's interviewed both of the eliminated queens so far. I just think it is so fun. And I don't think any other franchise does that other than the US. And I really, really appreciate it. And I'm definitely going to go watch both episodes after this. I didn't get a chance to before this recording, but I definitely want to because Anna's also a great interviewer. Like, she is truly one of the best judges internationally. And we keep saying it, but it really just is true.
Well, yes, it is.
And the Javis are representing shredded clothes, crop tops, and football, apparently.
Yeah.
They go together well, at least.
Yeah.
They do. They typically do. I like their coordinations. And again, two episodes in, I haven't been fundamentally pissed off at the Javis. So I take that as a win, honestly.
Yeah, I will say, I always think that Ambrosi looks worse than Calvo, but maybe it's because I just think Calvo always wears something sexy, and I think it's hard to go wrong with sexy. So yeah.
Well, yes. Yeah, everyone looks great. This panel is great. Great panel. Love this panel. But
love this panel.
Let's talk about our Supremme Eleganza Talent Extravaganza. Woo! I've broken things up on the slideshow so we get 4 at a time, and thankfully they had these cute little photos right before each person went, which made my job so much easier today. Thank you, Drag Race España. So let's first start with the first 4. We have Mariana Stars, Chloe Vitu, Vampiracian, and Maggie J-Lo.
Okay.
Probably going person by person. I think, did we all do full rankings for everyone?
I did.
I did as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's what I was
Eduardo,
going to ask.
Let's start with you with Mariana.
Okay, Mariana. I thought Mariana's was cute, but it wasn't particularly super special. It wasn't super interesting. It was fun, and I liked the song, and I liked what she was going for, but it wasn't particularly interesting. And I was just hoping for more, especially from Mariana, who is one of my favorites. And so she looked good and she performed well, but with the caliber that we got on this talent show, I started getting worried for a moment, and I started thinking that maybe she was gonna be in the bottom. But then some other queens went on, and I was like, oh no, Mariana's fine. But yeah, she's definitely lower for me, and it's kind of sad because like I love her so much. But yeah, she didn't wow me, which is unfortunate.
Well, I'm kind of on the other end of the spectrum because she was one of my favorites. What I liked about her is, yeah, she was lip syncing and she didn't pull out like a ton of tricks. But what she showed for her talent is putting on a show. She put on basically like a tiny Broadway show all in just
Yeah.
a minute and a half. And I thought that was so impressive. The whole production of it all, the choreography, the dancers, just everything, the whole set. It just felt like her production was like possibly the biggest of anybody's. So I really appreciated that. I was highly entertained. I thought it was a very strong way to start the show. Um, Overall, I ranked her number 4.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm gonna wait to the end for us all to.
I missed.
I didn't talk about that whatsoever. I was just
Oh,
gonna. It's
yeah.
fine. Eduardo, where did you have her?
I put her 7.
Okay. Interestingly enough, I also have Mariana fourth. She fell into a pack of a couple of people, and I'll talk about them when they pop up. That I thought did really actually. Now that I think about it, it's spoiler the first 3 people that went. But I thought
this
they were
first
all.
group is really good.
Mhm.
This first group is very very strong. But they fell into this like pack of people that I thought did really really well, but it was really hard shuffling between them because all of them did well, but they all did something so completely different that I didn't really know exactly where to put them. I have Mariana fourth because I think she did a very strong job. It wasn't the most original talent we've ever seen. The song was clearly someone else's, but it was clearly very, very highly revered by the judging panel. I liked it. Quiero ser artista. I was like, yes, I relate wholeheartedly.
Mhm.
What I like the most about Mariana's performance is the ending where she is lip syncing the last couple of words and there's very raw emotion in her face.
Mhm.
And when she goes up into the lift, like she almost starts crying just out of like how special this moment is for her. And I really, really resonated with that. So for me, I have Mariana fourth.
Fair, absolutely fair.
Let's move to Chloe.
Okay, this dumb bitch.
This
This
dumb
dumb
bitch.
bitch. This was so stupid. This was so stupid, and I loved every single minute of it. It's so funny. It was so funny. To me, it worked really well. Uh, it just hit everything that I wanted it to hit. And the fact that she is where she is means that like this talent show was great because she's like in the middle of the pack for me, but she was still great. She was still amazing. She was still really funny, and it surprised me when it ended with a song, with just
Mhm.
a random song in a lip sync, and I thought this was really cute. I thought it was really funny. I thought it was sexy, and this made me kind of get Chloe more. Like I get her drag more now that I've seen this, and so I wish this was episode 1 so that I could have gotten it from the very beginning. But now I get it like 100%, and I really appreciate Chloe and how stupidly funny she is. And yeah, it was funny. I loved it.
Mhm. Yeah, I love these like ridiculous, dumb, funny talents we've been getting lately. Like it kind of started with Jimbo, then Le Grand Dame and Kyron, and now her. Like just these people, like they're speaking to my sense of humor in how dumb they're taking their talents. Just as soon as she comes out in a cat suit and she's trying to avoid all of these lasers, I was like, this is hilarious with the big boobs and all. This is where the big boobs are paying off for me.
Yeah, absolutely. The rolling around on the floor
Right?
with the giant boobs.
And her goal is to steal these panties and put them on. I just was highly entertained. This
Uh,
was easily one of my favorites of the night. Um, I am holding back my ranking now.
I guess that's what we're doing now. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I thought Chloe, like I said, Chloe was someone where I ranked her really high. But I didn't know where to rank her in kind of the mix of everybody. It was dumb, it was funny, it was well thought out. I have my eye on Chloe now. Mm-hmm. I easily after the first episode, and this is no shade, girl, easily after the first episode, I was like, okay, cool, she'll be gone in a couple of episodes. I don't think that anymore. I think Chloe could be a real contender. There is something so dumb, for lack of a better word, just dumb about her humor. And the way that she approaches drag is so, it almost feels fresh and very like, it's very youthful. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that we have queens like Chloe and like La Nina who are bringing very different perspectives to more youthful drag entertainers. Where did the blood come from? I was so confused by all of a sudden there was blood, and I was like, what, huh?
Well, they killed her.
Is it the panties?
They killed her.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
The gods killed her. In the song, she says, like, no one should die for a pair of panties.
Well, I'm so glad we have a fluent Spanish speaker here.
Thank God for that.
To let us know some of these lyrics.
Yes.
So the guards killed her, basically.
Oh. And then she came back to life. But she didn't die. She had crystallized those panties.
And threw them.
And now she's a glamazon bimbo ready for the runway.
Absolutely.
And Kelly ended up with them on her face.
And apparently they smelled. Rankings, not scores, because they're not scores.
5th? I had her number 3.
I also have her 5th. But again, my 3 through 5 is so just all over the place that it's the. And speaking of my 3 through 5,
speaking of,
let's move to Vampirashian.
Okay, I really, really appreciated this talent show, and it was so fun for me as someone that understood the song and the joke. It was just so sexual and so dumb and so stupid and so funny for me. It just worked really well. And then she showed an actual talent. Like, she actually sang live, which is like something that like a lot of queens choose not to do because like of the worry of like, maybe I'm not gonna be on pitch and maybe I'm just gonna lip sync. I always appreciate a queen that chooses to sing live, even when it's not great. But here, I thought it worked perfectly. Vampi looked great. It gave me very like cabaret, very sexy, very stupid, very dumb. And the song was funny for me as someone that speaks Spanish. I understand. We talked about this before the podcast, but apparently there were no subtitles on the episode. So I got it, and I thought it was really funny. So it really worked for me.
Can you explain the lyrics a little bit?
So it was just basically as many innuendos as you possibly could. About getting fucked, basically, and getting something stuck inside you, basically.
Okay.
Because me pica is kind of like you're inserting. It could be like you're inserting something into something.
Okay.
If you will, it's basically just like her just saying, "I like getting fucked."
Okay, and that was a mosquito, right?
It was. I don't know if it was a mosquito. It was
no, it was a not a tick, but
yeah, it's a
flea.
It's a flea.
A flea. Yeah,
okay. A flea.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I really suffered from not understanding the lyrics. I was hoping the explanation would help, but I don't think it has helped me very much. It's interesting because one of my notes was, the singing's not very good. So I appreciate when somebody sings live if they're really good at it. And for me, I just don't think she was good enough. So I would have preferred a recorded track, even if it was her and it was like auto-tuned a bit. Yeah, I just didn't fully understand this. Like I could tell other people were really into it, but for me, it just wasn't translating. And like she did do like a little bit of like a burlesque strip, but it felt like so timid. Especially, we just watch a whole burlesque talent show, like a cabaret talent show on UK, and so this just felt so timid compared to a lot of the ones we saw for that. So this was not one of my favorites, unfortunately. But I really do like her, and I had high expectations for her in this talent show. So
I also had high expectations for her, and she fully met my expectations. I thought this was hilarious. Yes, there were no subtitles on it. I still understood it, and that's no shade to you, David. I understood it even without
I still
knowing
don't.
what the
Can you
lyrics
explain
meant.
it to me then, please?
She has this flea, and she's itching, and the entire song is about her getting fucked.
Mm-hmm.
The entire song is just innuendos about her getting fucked.
What does that have to do with itching and a flea?
Well,
Because
Julie,
because when something itches you, you said me pica, but then pica is also like inserting something into
yep,
like me picó un
putting a
mosco,
dick
like
inside someone.
yeah,
I'll just say it. I don't care.
Lord.
Mepika is itching something, which is why there was the flea. It's the double entendre of there's a flea, so she's itching, but also Mepika is also getting fucked.
Basically.
So the entire thing is just this constant double entendre the whole time.
Yes.
David
Okay.
still doesn't get it. Got it.
Sure. Okay.
Rankings for Vampy.
4th.
9th.
Ugh. I have her 3rd.
Fair.
And next up is Maggie.
Okay, I did not Maggie was a dancer. I did not know that she could move like in any way, shape, or form. And when she came out, I thought that she was gonna do some sort of magic, because that's what we've seen her do so far. And so when she chose to dance, I was kind of shocked. I was not living for the bob. I will be self honest, and the reveal was really good. I will say that. I will say that it's unfortunate that Lexa Fox immediately came to mind when it happened, because I immediately remembered when she did it in the lip sync that she did. So maybe that's my fault for comparing them. But I still really enjoyed it, and I thought she was a really good dancer. It was very, very high energy. And yeah, Maggie just surprised me. And so I was really, really happy with her performance. I really enjoyed it. So I think she did a really good job. And I think she was one of the best ones, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I was super impressed by her dancing. Like, I honestly think it's some of the best dancing we've seen on any Drag Race franchise. So that was really cool. I also like, I kind of think she did do magic when she did that wig reveal. Like, that was one of the coolest wig reveals I've seen ever too, because it was there, she flipped and it was gone. It was gone. So I was like, whoa, that was really cool. If I had time, I would have rewound it to watch it again. But yeah, I thought she was definitely one of the best. I was very impressed by her.
Mm-hmm.
I liked what she did. I don't think as much as either of you, but I did like what she did. For me, I think the wig reveal was the absolute best part of this. And otherwise, it was a pretty standard drag number. Nothing about this excited me, honestly. Nothing about this, like, other than the wig reveal, nothing about this made me go, oh my god, I want to go back and watch this again. I would watch the wig reveal over and over again, but the performance for me was standard. It was good, and that's about all for me. So, where we got it ranked?
I have her 2nd.
I also have her 2nd.
I have her 6th.
Right in the middle.
Yep.
That's it.
Right below all 3 of these people we just talked about. It comes down to a creativity factor. That's all it is. But
that's absolutely fair.
So the next 4 we have on screen, we have Le Coco, Dita Dubois, Porca the Club Kid, and La Niña del Antro. Let's start with Coco.
Okay. I loved what Le Coco did. I appreciated it so much. It was so vulnerable, and it was just nice that she just chose to do this. It made me like her even more, and like at the end of this performance, it made me kind of get her and get where she's coming from, and like understand her point of view as an artist and like as a person. And I really appreciated that. I appreciated something different, unique. I appreciate, as I said, I just really appreciate this vulnerability that Le Coco is showing us, because when the cast came out, I did not think that Le Coco was gonna be sharing what she's sharing and like talking about the things that she's talking about. And I really appreciate how vulnerable she is and how open she is about it. And so this was absolutely one of my favorites of the whole night. I really appreciated it, and I thought she looked great while doing it. So yeah.
Yeah, this is where people are gonna hate me. Not because I disliked this. It's just I know this is something that would require a second viewing for me, because I was not able to take in all of the words that they were showing so quickly on the bottom of my screen. So I did not completely understand everything she was saying. But what I did like about her compared to somebody we saw do something similar on a talent show in UK is I felt like if you're going to do spoken word, I like the added elements. I like the music in the background. I like the people becoming part of the performance with you. I like the whole strip tease at the like, and calling it a strip tease is probably not the best way to phrase it, but you could just tell there was so much raw emotion in what she was doing, how she was delivering it, and how it was impacting everybody. So I'm super excited to watch this again, and I would not be surprised if after a second viewing this pops up quite a bit higher in my rankings. But for now, like there were a lot of easier to digest ones for me, so that's why this one's not going to be a little bit higher.
I don't think I've ever been moved as much watching a talent performance on Drag Race as I was with this one. I absolutely loved every single part of this performance. The raw emotion was so real. Like, she has quickly become my favorite person on this cast in 2 episodes. Like, I am wholeheartedly regretting not drafting her. I love my team, but I kind of regret not picking her up, honestly, because her energy is so good. The vulnerability was incredible. The performance was great. Mixing the spoken word with live singing, with, you know, just the emotion of all of it was just absolutely incredible. I loved every part of this. Where do we have her?
Le Coco was my favorite. She's my number 1.
I have her at number 5.
I also have her at number 1.
Absolutely.
Dita Dubois.
Okay, so this was stupid and funny, and I liked it, but like the judges said, it just, compared to everything else, it felt like it was missing something. I wanted more from it. Like, I understood what she was trying to do. I thought it was funny, but it needed more jokes, and it needed like more time to really go there. So I think Dita was really like working with like under a time crunch where like the joke would have worked better if she wasn't under that time crunch. So it, I understood it, I got it. It just, compared to everything else, it just fell lower and lower and lower for me, and so it just kind of became not as great as everyone else. So sadly, Dita is lower for me, lower in my rankings, which is unfortunate because I really like her. But just compared to everything else, it just fell a little bit flat.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, she's on the lower end for me, but I still enjoyed it. Like, I think it's a talent, making a talent out of not necessarily having a talent. Her talent was entertaining me, and she definitely did. She got quite a few laughs out of me. I just thought, like, anybody who takes such a ridiculous idea and is able to execute it so well, I have to give them props. Like, especially when she started like deep throating this shot glass and just making it like bounce up and down. I was like, okay, so we know what your real talent is, girl. You just couldn't show it on television. So I was kind of into it. It's still like, I still have to give like the pure talents more credence. But for me, I did not mind this by any means.
I didn't love this. I agreed with what some of the other girls were saying, that it just kind of felt lazy. Like, I feel like if I saw this at a bar, I would be gagged. For some reason, it just... No. And she's not the only one that can do that talent. There are several of us that can. But I'm not surprised by that in the slightest.
Yeah, wow, what a shock.
Truly surprised, David. For me, I actually thought the execution was wildly sloppy. I thought the setup was good. She spilled a lot of the alcohol when she was trying to pour it into the glass. And like, if you're gonna do something like that, I want it to be seamless, and it felt nervous from her. She also didn't shake the drink at all.
She did.
It wasn't actually mixed together.
Oh, well, that was the joke, was that she was shaking it, like when she was doing that with her throat.
Okay,
which
cool.
I thought
if you're
was
going to
really
do
funny.
that, then I want it to be actually shaken.
Okay, well, I thought it was funny.
It just, I don't know. And then the ending all felt completely rushed because she took too much time with the introduction of the whole thing. Like, I don't need the whole man coming in. Like, the first 15 seconds could have been cut, so she could have spent extra time getting out of the reveal, because the reveal kind of just felt sloppy. It just didn't. The concept is wonderful. The execution fell really short for me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have her 9th.
I have her 8th.
I have her last.
Okay.
I thought we would all have the same person last, so that's interesting.
Nope.
Oh, I think David and I will have the same person last.
It's probably the next person we're going to talk about. Let's talk about
Speaking of, listen. I'm very into this, but not for a talent show. Like, this is.
We know you're into this, Diva.
I like this, but not in the talent show. Because it wasn't really a talent. Being sexy is not really a talent. And I could have seen a world in which, like, the staples and the wax could have been something interesting. We've seen in Dragula some performances that are with like staples and wax and like syringes, where they are actual performances and they're interesting and they're cool to look at. But I think this time constraint that she had really made her a disservice for it, and then her really just spanking someone for 15 seconds and then tying someone up in like the messiest way possible for another 15 seconds or 30 seconds really didn't work for me. And so it just was messy, it was sloppy, and it just didn't go really anywhere where I wanted it to go. And it's really unfortunate because it could have been something. It could have been something, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. First of all, like, immediately when I saw her, I was like, oh, this is a really cool look. So I appreciated the look she had. Like, that's something that she's never going to fail on, is having a really cool look. But Actually, my biggest critique for her was how long she took to do everything. Like tying up it just felt like, okay, get to the point, get to it. And I think the worst thing you can do in a talent number is make the audience feel secondhand embarrassment. And I hate that I felt that way, but I was like cringing in like uncomfort just watching her because I knew things weren't going how she wanted it to. And it made me question, how much did you practice? Like you stapling those letters on there and they're all falling off. That makes me really question how much she practiced, because like that, you should not fail that. So for me, yeah, this really missed the mark, and I'm so disappointed because I really like Porca, and I'm sure she has other things she could have done that would have worked out better.
So here's my thing about Porca. The execution was sloppy. All over the board, sloppy. For me, what separates her from the three people I have at the end of my list is that conceptually, hers was my favorite.
Okay.
Conceptually speaking, this is something we have never seen on a Drag Race talent show. And I appreciate that at least she went with something completely different and something that is very much so what she does in shows. I have seen several videos on Porca's Instagram of shows where she does stuff like this. And so I'm glad that she's showcasing this side of her drag. My biggest issue was the execution. I really think she should have picked one or two things and done that. I think if she had done the rope tying and some of the wax stuff, I think that would have, like, the visual gag of that, I think would have been better. Or there's honestly several other things she could have done that I think would have worked a lot better. But unfortunately, it didn't pay off in the way that she wanted. But the outfit was incredible. And I wish she had kind of taken this idea of spider dominatrix and actually worked with that and done some like tying into a spider web and done some wax stuff with that. And like, obviously that would require probably the full consent of someone on the pit crew. And quite frankly, you would probably have to bring someone in that you knew who had experience in wax to do it on. So it's fine. Or you be the one getting tied up in your own web. Like, the story could have been a little bit better. And I just think she went for so much and it didn't pay off. But the concept was so strong that honestly, it did bring it above a couple of other people for me. So, rankings.
Yeah, I love Porca, but this was my last. This was 11.
Yeah, 11 for me too.
I have Porca at 9th.
Oh, so you said you had her above 3 people, so I'm like, wait, really?
No, okay. I said of my bottom 3.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Of my bottom 3, she was 9th because for me the concept was the strongest.
Okay.
So, let's move to La Niña del Antro.
This talent show was wild. It was wild, and I really liked it. And I just liked how kind of chaotic it was, and it showed me just like how it has creativity to it, because I didn't expect La Niña to really go for like crazy kind of killer clown. And I think also the fact that, well, I'm gonna also critique it based on also the other performance that we saw done to this song. And this was a lot better because it added something to it. It added like La Niña's own like verse to this song. And the way that she performed it was really interesting to me. And the camera movements were wild. The camera movements, the fact that we did a whole spin with the camera was wild to me. And I really like this talent show. And maybe it's because I really like La Niña, and so maybe I'm a little bit biased. But this was one of my favorites, absolutely.
I don't think it's because you're biased.
Okay,
I think it's because she killed it. Yeah. So this, as soon as the song started, I'm like, oh, I do know this song, because Eva Destruction has a very famous videos from before she was on Dragula performing to this song. But yeah, I thought this was so much fun. The only thing I'm disappointed is that we saw her lip sync last week, because we would have been completely surprised by her level of performance skills if this was the first time we were seeing it. But I was just so blown away. Like, it gave me creepy, it gave me circus, it gave me like what's the word for like contortionist. Man, if there was anybody, after watching all of these shows, if there was anybody's show that I would want to go to, it would 100% be La Niña del Antro. Loved this.
Yeah, I thought she did really, really well. Unfortunately for her, I just thought there were other talents that were more creative and were cleaner, but I still thought this was very good. I thought the contortioning was really good. The performance overall was good. There was some sloppiness. Some of her stunts were not done as well as I think she could have. The entire first part just being this like it was I dare say slow burn, but honestly for me, it was kind of like all of a sudden it just exploded. And the first half of the routine, I was bored. I'm going to be honest. I was a little bored. Once she actually got into the routine, I really liked what she was doing. And I love this makeup and this outfit that she's wearing. There are just some other people I thought did better with their full performance than Niña.
I love how much we're disagreeing.
Yeah, wow.
I love it.
Where do we have her then?
She's third for me.
Okay. Number 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I have her at 7th. Okay. You probably thought I was going to say 10th, huh, David?
No, I mean, I figured, well, before you gave your critiques, I was like, oh yeah, this is clearly Logan's number 2.
Nope.
I'm confused.
It's one of these 3 final performers that we have. ¿Qué le pasa? Miss Cristo and Angelita la Perversa.
Okay. Okay, let's start with Kelly. Kelly did something really interesting and really out of the box and really hard to do on a stage. I wasn't particularly a fan of this performance because I was not a particular fan of, like, I don't know if it was the filter on her voice or just the way that she just sounds. It just didn't sound particularly great for me. It wasn't as dynamic as I wanted it to be. It is a talent for sure, but it's just something kind of hard to really show on stage and on a show. And then it wasn't really anything up my alley. So Kelly really let me down, sadly. This was one of my least favorites as well, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I was not living for it, which is unfortunate.
I was into it. It was definitely a vibey kind of performance for me, and it was a vibe that I dug. It kind of reminded me of something you would see if you went to one of my favorite Drag Race Queens shows, and that's Detox. Like, it was giving me all the Detox energy. It even was similar to her talent show in All Stars 2. But I just kind of like I was just into everything she presented with the show as well. Like, you could tell she's over here doing her song. She's doing things with the mix too, which I thought was impressive. And then she had time to inflate the thing behind her. So I thought it was a cool spectacle. Yeah, there were better performances, but I still was into it.
Yeah, I thought Kelly really excelled with creativity. And even though, like, she was doing the same song as La Nina, they did it in such opposite ways that I almost forgot that they were doing the same song. I like having the I don't know what it's called, the recording system that she had so she could have her own backup vocals. We haven't really seen anything like that on Drag Race before, and I really liked it. I thought the way that she did almost this like DJ set kind of talent, I really, really liked that. The live vocal was a little shaky. I'm glad she did it because we did hear her talking about wanting to overcome that as part of this routine and proving that she can do it. I'm so happy that she did. I was really nervous for a second that they were going to put her in the bottom 3 for this. Frankly, I was a little nervous they were going to put all 3 of the alternative queens in the bottom and I was going to cry, scream, and throw up. Thankfully, they didn't. But the vocal was a little shaky. The inflation, like the front 2 didn't come up all the way. And so that was a little bit shaky. But overall, I do still think Kelly had a really strong performance. Rankings.
Also, I want to correct you really quickly. Kelly didn't do the same song as La Niña. It was Miss Krista.
Krista did. Never mind. Yep. Nope. Thank you.
I know the comments were going to talk about it, so I'm just correcting you right now.
Thank you. They probably still will. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Unfortunately, I have Kelly 8th.
I have her 7th.
I also have her 8th.
Okay.
A strong 8th and a very solid 8th. I'm not mad. Let's talk about Miss Cristo.
Okay. First of all, I will say this. I really like the reference that she's doing with this outfit. I think the reference was really cute, and I really like the story that this outfit is referencing. And so when I saw this, I was expecting something similar, or a retelling of the story or something, and it didn't really go there. It wasn't really interesting in any way, shape, or form, which is unfortunate. It just left me wanting I don't know. It just wasn't outstanding in any way, and I felt like I was missing the story that she was trying to tell. And then once she told it, I thought I got the totally opposite vibe that she was trying to go for. She was trying to go for her winning over her insecurities, but when she was doing the actual dance, it felt like the insecurities beat her and dragged her away. So I think she tried to do something, it just didn't translate as well as she wanted to, and it really, really brought her down, which is unfortunate.
Can you explain what the reference is for the look?
Okay, so this look is referencing an episode of what's it called, Love, Death, and Robots, in which a group of what's the word I'm looking for? A group of people are going into battle, some soldiers with knights. Some knights are going into battle, and they find this lake, and this siren who looks like what Miss Krista is wearing, basically entices them into go into the ocean, but one of them is deaf, so therefore he doesn't go into the ocean. And then he kind of she gets interested in him and shows some sort of interest, but then he attacks her and does really awful stuff to her, which I don't really want to talk about. And then she ends up killing him. And so I thought it was going to be a moment of vulnerability in which she was going to show us oh, I've suffered wrongs and I've suffered wrongdoings and I've come out of them and I've defeated all of these wrongdoings. And that's not what I got. I got, oh, I'm being defeated by the wrongdoings. I am getting killed by the knights. I am getting, things are being done to me which I don't like. And so it didn't translate the way that I wanted it to.
Yeah, that's fair. I've heard really good things about that show, but I've never seen it myself.
Oh, this episode is really good.
Okay. Well, yeah. So first of all, I want to say she looked incredible. Whatever references it is, I thought she had one of the coolest looks of the night. I think it does kind of hurt her that she did do the same song that La Niña did, but it was complete opposite ends of the spectrum when it came to energy. She's such a low key, laid back person, and I think that's why I said last week that she makes such a good model, because she has that kind of nonchalant energy as she goes down the runway. But she kept that energy in this performance, and I wanted more. So it just left me kind of unimpressed with her overall. I just wanted her to do something to surprise me or grab my attention. And unfortunately, it never happened. So at least she did not do something that made me feel uncomfortable or awkward for her. I just felt really bored watching her. And, I think we're all going to have the same ranking for once on a person.
I think so.
Yeah, I think we're going to. Would you all be so gagged if I was like, she was incredible. And she was good. I am really happy that she did this for herself. Unfortunately, it didn't translate in the way that I wanted it to. There are so many ways, because I was aware of the story as well, so I understood the kind of perspective she was going for. I just wish she was able to translate the story a little bit more. And as someone that grew up as a dancer, like, there are so many other ways to convey this kind of emotion. And like, literally in my mind, as I was watching this, I was choreographing in my head like what I would do. And like, it's frustrating because I really, really love her, and her point of view is so interesting and so needed on Drag Race. And it just sucks that this performance didn't. I agree with David. I was bored, unfortunately. She looks absolutely incredible, but I'm bored.
Yeah.
And I think we do all have the same ranking for her.
Yeah.
Tens across the board.
Absolutely.
Across the board, unfortunately.
Yeah, the one time you don't want to get tens across the board.
No, tenths are not it. Tenths are not. But let's finish up with Angelita la Perversa.
Okay, this was the toughest one for me to rank because I'm clearly missing a lot of references here. There's clearly something here that means a lot to Spanish people and that I myself am missing. Something's going right over my head, and I don't know who this person that like Angelita's referencing is, which is really unfortunate because it clearly meant a lot to the people that were there and were watching it. And so there was something missing there, absolutely. I did like that she was doing sign language. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But clearly there was something missing. But once they talked about it, I really appreciated it and I really like enjoyed it. But it needed an explanation for me to happen, like for me to appreciate it. And so I didn't rank it as highly as the judges did, but now knowing what she's referencing and what she's going for, it made me appreciate it. So therefore, she's kind of in the middle for me. But yeah, I like the vulnerability of it. I also will say that. And so it's just I was missing the reference.
I'm going to hedge a bet that David also didn't understand it. So might I add my perspective? Because I did a little bit of research because I was curious.
Yes, please do. Please do.
So specifically what Angelita, from my knowledge, again, people of Spain, correct me in the comments, but at least from my understanding, is that Angelita was referencing Paco España, who was a very prominent figure during the Franco regime in Spain, who was very outwardly spoken about queer rights. They were one of the earliest drag queens, you could say, in Spain, and was very, very instrumental in helping create a lot of change during and after the Franco regime in Spain. Pretty commonly noted as one of the earliest, if not the earliest, drag queen to be famous in Spain, and kind of helped the liberation of Spanish queer people overall. I believe what the specific, I believe the performance was a song from that time that was done by Paco, and the ending where she takes off all of her makeup and takes off her garment and everything like that. I believe the names that are on her are names of famous drag queens, trans entertainers, and other influential queer people who were very transformational alongside of Paco España, and that helped kind of pave the way for the current generation of Spanish queer youth to be who they are so openly, even though Spanish queer people are still not as, do not still have as many rights as a lot of other queer people around the world. But these are some of the people that were very transformational in helping Drag Race España be a show. You know what I mean? Like, it very much so, like, very akin, and again, to the Spanish audience, if this is not a good representation, please correct me. Very akin to someone like a Marsha P. Johnson for American queer liberation. So that's at least what I understand it to be. There's a lot of details that I am probably not referencing whatsoever, but yeah.
Yeah, for me, this was kind of in the same boat as Le Coco. In fact, I kept going back and forth on like how to rank them because they're right next to each other on my rankings. But they both, like, you could just feel the impact. And with hers, I definitely felt the impact. And what I did appreciate about her performance here, and that I was able to get, not by understanding it, but I did get the sign language of it all. And that is a talent. That's a talent in itself. Like, knowing how that works, that takes a lot of skill and dedication to learn that. And it's something that is actually really underrepresented on the Drag Race stage. But if you go to a Drag Race show, go to a live show with a bunch of queens, guess what you're going to see? You're going to see an interpreter there. It happens all of the big shows I go to. There's always one there. And I just love that she's remembering there are people in the audience watching this. They're going to feel seen by this. So I was super into that. It just really endeared me to her even more. She's absolutely one of my favorites. I really like this.
I was really moved by this. It just, every part of it, learning about the story of Paco España just added to how much I just absolutely loved this. As I have a deaf aunt, so I know a little bit of sign language, and I understand the gravity of having that represented. And I don't believe we've ever had anything like this on Drag Race, period. So to have Angelita perform in this way was so beautiful. The sentiment was incredible. The entire piece was so moving, so gorgeous. I absolutely loved this. Yeah, I was very, very moved by this. And clearly, based on my top two for this, I kind of went with people that moved me in this talent show. So where does that leave Angelita for everybody?
I have her 6.
Yeah, I also have her 6.
I have her 2nd.
Fair. That's very fair.
Would you like a quick rundown of our average rankings for everybody?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Please.
So there's no ties. That's good. Collectively, our number 11 is Porca. Number 10, Miss Cristo. Number 9, Dita.
I'm so surprised by number 10.
Right?
Wow.
What?
Actually, there's a world where you could have bumped Porca above her, and she still could have been number 11, even with getting 10s across the board.
Work.
It was pretty close. Number 9, Dita. Number 8, Kelly. Number 7, Vampirasian. Number 6, Mariana. Number 5, Angelita. Number 4, Chloe. Number 3, La Niña. Number 2, Meggie. And number 1, Le Coco.
Period.
Pretty close.
Period. So, honestly, Untucked was boring.
Yeah.
Nothing of note happened. It was just them trying to figure out who was in the top and who was in the bottom. The only moment of note was Porca and Cristo basically saying, well, this fucking sucks, because we're probably lip syncing against each other.
And what happened?
Well, Julie.
But
let's talk about our results. Our top three, which I was happy with overall. We have Angelita, we have Le Coco, and we have Meggie. What I wasn't as thrilled with, I'll be 100% honest, is the winner, which ends up being Meggie. I get it, but you have two of the most moving and heartfelt and emotional talent performances we have ever seen on Drag Race, period. Coupled with the fact that both of them had phenomenal runways, which apparently meant nothing. They literally even said it means nothing. I am not mad at Meggie winning. Clearly by my ranking, I wouldn't have had her win. I get it. I just think there were better talents. I think there were a couple of other people. And I wouldn't have been mad if she had been in the top 3. But I honestly just think Le Coco or Angelita should have won this challenge. And they were setting them up in the critiques on the main stage to have a moment like that. While they did tell Meggie that it was her night, Angelita also got the same thing. And I really thought they were going to respect how incredible Angelita's performance was, or respect how incredible Le Coco's performance was. I'm disappointed in this. I can't hide it. I'm really just disappointed.
That's fair. Well, as somebody who had Meggie higher than the other two, I want to say I'm not disappointed, but I think what's interesting for me is, like, of the 3, I felt like there was one that showed like raw talent skills, one that showed emotion the best, and one that had the best runway. So for me, I think it's interesting that for me, like, the person that showed like actual, like, physical, presentable talent won. And that's not to take away from the other 2 who had very heartfelt talents as well, because that's just as valid. I think it really just came down to personal preference. And for me, my personal preference won. So I'm not mad about it, but I absolutely understand why you all are frustrated, because the other 2 were great.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle of you.
I was going to say, I don't think you need to lump Eduardo in with me. I think I'm frustrated, and I think Eduardo's in the middle.
Yeah, I'm in the middle, because I'm not particularly upset that Meggie won. But I definitely think that, like, once I saw the top 3, even though I have Angelita lower than I have Meggie, with all of the critiques that they were giving her and how clearly it meant a lot for, like, everyone that was there and for, like, queer Spanish people, I was like, okay, clearly I am missing some reference, but clearly they aren't. And it came to a point where I was like, well, it seems like either Le Coco or Angelita, like, really showed something interesting and something different. And sure, Meggie showed a really good and really high, like, level, like, high caliber of drag and of talent. But, like, for me, I really appreciated what Le Coco and Angelita did. And so it kind of felt like it should have gone to them. And not saying that Meggie didn't deserve her win. She clearly did. And, like, as I said, I'm not upset by it. But it just, like, maybe I'm just really, like, on the fence about Meggie being on the competition, just because, like, I'm scared of potential, like, rigging for her as, like, someone that has been on the show before. And so I'm always kind of on the lookout and really on the fence and very guarded about, like, Meggie getting wins or Meggie getting high placements. And that's not Meggie's fault. That is just a fact that is going to happen with a lot of us, just by the simple fact that she was part of the crew, part of the pit crew, and part of, like, she's been here before, and the judges probably know of her. And so I'm very on the fence about Meggie in that case. But she did deserve this win. I get it. I understand it. I'm not upset by it. So, yeah, I did think that she maybe had the worst look out of the top three, but you know what? That's fine.
The worst look out of three phenomenal looks. Like, let's just be real. And like for me, it's interesting because I would have had Maggie in my top three last week. And so, and she wasn't. And for me, I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is going to be another season of people getting wins when they shouldn't have, but we're getting retroactive wins for other things. Like, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about it, but we'll see. But our bottom three ends up being Porca, Dita, and Miss Cristo. And I'm pissed off that it's Cristo and Porca. And what I thought was going to happen is happening, and they're not going to understand alternative queens, even though both of them deserve to be in the bottom, and I understand why they deserve to be in the bottom, but I'm angry about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Angry about it. And they should have known better, and by they, I mean production, giving an iconic, upbeat, really fun song to queens while they're in giant Baroque garments.
This is another telephone situation. What are we doing?
It was so telephone. Why are we making these queens lip sync to an iconic Spanish song in giant dresses where they can't move? Anyway, it was a pretty good lip sync. Cuando Zarpa el Amor by Camila. I thought the song was really fun. Clearly, all of the judges were singing along, and I thought it was a really, really good time. For me, and maybe the other people on this panel, but for now, I'm just going to say, for me, I did prefer Borca's performance.
Agreed.
I really thought we were about to get a win eliminated scenario. I really thought we were going to get it.
I thought so too.
Okay, cool. I'm kind of glad that we're all like, and I didn't dislike what Miss Cristo did by any means of the imagination. The problem just was neither of them could move.
Right.
Neither of them could move. And so they were stuck in the same spot. Like, Cristo basically park and barked this song, which is not probably how anyone else would have performed the song. But I just thought Porca had a liveliness to her. There was an energy to the performance. There was just such a joy coming from Porca that I just think for me would have placed her just above Cristo in this lip sync. It wasn't a bad lip sync. It's not a lip sync I'm gonna remember specifically. But I really thought it should have gone to Porca.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would be interesting if they were able to change, because I think we might have had a different result.
Yeah. I think we might have too. I think if Porca had been able to change, I think maybe I think it would have been a different result, honestly. Because and again, Cristo didn't do a bad job. It was just kind of stiff. But the lip syncing itself was good. There was she was giving face. There was a clear presence to it. She had the character. It just, I preferred Porca. It comes down to, I just preferred Porca.
Mm-hmm. Fair. Very fair.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Porca's gone. It was deserved, but
Yeah.
I'm sad.
I'm clearly very upset. I'm clearly very upset about it.
And I think she would have given us some of the best runways, because, not to spoil anything, she might have had my favorite runway this week.
She's definitely in my top three.
Yeah, she's up there. She's up there. I'm not gonna say much, but she's up there. That's for sure. And so, yeah, it's unfortunate to lose Porca right here. Mm-hmm. Porca, call me, please. Please call me. Call me.
For me.
You can train. You can practice your talent show. I'm right here if you want.
Oh, well, Julie. damn. All right.
I do want to say it's not about Porca, but I do want to acknowledge one of my favorite like subtle things that happened during the episode that we didn't even mention. But after Angelita's performance, I really loved when all the girls did the applause in sign language. I thought that was so
yes.
cute.
Oh,
Yes.
it was so good. It was so good. Yeah, I really, really loved that.
Really appreciate that, yes.
I'm so sad.
Mhm.
I really think had she stuck around, I think Porca would have given us some of the best runways we've ever seen on Drag Race. And unfortunately, we hopefully will see them on Instagram.
Yes. Please post them, Porca. I'm sure
please, Porca, please. But with that,
come on the
one of the
podcast.
three. Absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely. But with that, one of the queens that was double picked in the draft is gone, and it has wildly affected the draft standings. So currently in a tie for last is me and River with 13 points. In third place is Eduardo with 14 points. In second place is David with 18 points, and currently leading the draft is Lana with 21 points.
Get it, girl.
Has Maggie. I really like her team, and I'm really kind of jealous that I didn't pick her.
She called it. She called it. She said she was gonna draft and then not show up for any of the podcasts and win the draft.
She showed up last week.
She did.
That's true. That's true. She did. She did 3 episodes, so I'm not gonna take that away from her.
She did 2.
But no, she did 2. Yeah. But
the only people that did all 3 episodes last week were you two.
It was a long day
because we are committed.
Yeah, fuck you. You want to do as much work for this podcast as I do, Eduardo? I think not. Thank you.
No, I do not.
Anyway, next week is some kind of comedy challenge, and I'm excited for a comedy challenge.
Yeah.
Sure. Totally.
Down. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. They were talking about memes, and I'm like, what does this have to do with anything, bitch? Like,
it felt from what I understood, the show that they're referencing for their acting challenge is like has a lot of memes, at least in Spain.
Yeah.
So that's why it was brought up, but I don't know, girl. Whatever.
If anyone wants to give us some insight as to what it is, let us know. But with that being said, we are going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you for joining us for this episode recap. Make sure to check out the look over here as well, where we are diving into this phenomenal runway.
It's going to be a good one.
Make sure to subscribe, like, and share on the way out. Check out the description below where you can find all of our audio podcast links, our other YouTube channels, our Patreon, our social media, and where you can get your merch, including but not limited to cup mug. And with all that being said, we are going to go ahead and get out of here. So, cheers.
Yes.
Cheers.
Bam.
It's really hard to put your fan up to your camera and also click a button. Bye.
That's not your talent.
No, my talent is many other things.
I can get